6 years of teaching experience in the field of applied linguistics, more specifically ELT classes in the Ford Unit of English Language and Literature Studies. The material was assessed with and is primarily intended for students taking a course in applied linguistics at the Department of English Faculty of Philosophy, but it can also be used to everyone else interested in the topic the activity book covers. I'm so sorry. A truck. Oh my god. These topics range from those that observe the student's individual first personality as the broadest factor and considered and its interplay with the foreign language classroom and the influence of various personality factors of the success in foreign language learning. Then we look at another individual characteristic language learning aptitude and try to break the myth of talent for foreign languages by looking at how aptitude is constructed and what it means for progress in foreign language learning. Then we turn to topics more narrowly connected with the student's individual preferences in the field of ELT, language learning strategies, learning styles, and effective factors for adapting to make students aware of their own preferences in this respect and then to help them think critically and creatively in solving the problems that may arise in the foreign language classroom that are connected with these three factors. The next group of topics takes a wider perspective and looks first at what happens when students of different abilities work together in one group. Then we address the topic of language integration reasons for and against it, as well as the different degrees of integration while follows an ever important topic of control element in ELT, after which we tackle the field of classroom management and how the teacher can cope with various issues and problems that may occur in the classroom. And beyond it, additional two clever topics in ELT include course organization and the planning and the selection and critical observation of course books and other classroom material. Finally, we touch upon the use of role of ICT in ELT with numerous examples of how it can be implemented. The main idea behind every unit is first the representation of material covered in lectures and the reinforcement of key concepts and issues in various topics. What follows is a variety of exercises, mainly practical in nature, which provide students with an opportunity to apply theoretical concepts covered in lectures. Each unit ends with a critical incident that has no clear answers and essentially mimics the situation that they just encounter in real life, which also do not have any clear answers. The authors would like to thank the reviewers for their invaluable suggestions and insights, which usually contribute to the quality of the activity book. Needless to say, all responsibility for flaws and errors of the authors alone. Let me do something here. It would perhaps not be appropriate to conclude the paper personality class of many without at least mentioning a little research personality of the teacher. Researchers which suggest that the extroverts were more successful teachers than introverts was it a question in studies of educational seduction or the Dr. Fox effect. Dr. Fox effect in a meta-analysis of the literature of educational seduction, Abraham the Mental Raymond concluded the personal style being entertaining, charismatic, etc. can merely seduce students into believing they have learned. They found that instructor success had a substantial impact on students' rating, but a small impact on students' achievement in lectures. In contrast, lecture content had substantial impact on students' achievements, but a small impact on students' ratings. The correct position, however, is that teachers' personality traits are translated to specific classroom behaviors, which are violently reflected in students' ratings. Although extroversion is indicated as a distinguishing characteristic of good teachers, another major finding from this research is that the specific personality traits which contribute to effectiveness teaching vary between the course types. Neurotic extroverts excel in large, lower-level lecture classes, while neuroticism appears less desirable in graduate seminars. It is notable that all of the above research has, however, been carried out in content teachers reading the personality of extra teachers with language teaching variables in relatively considerable research potential. Stop talking. 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 Second year, 16 hours were involved in the incident during a lesson. It occurred during a double lesson. Last two classes on Wednesday. The room was stuffy. The climate was very warm. All the people spaghetti, but more than that, most were in a bad humor for some reason. Two of the three couples were beginning to have a conversation. I began to correct this misbehavior. Two couples stopped. One student would not stop talking. So I called her name and asked her to stop talking. The conversation then began. She began to become very offensive and spoke loudly in defense. She would not comply with moving to another seat. I asked her to stay after class, and addition, Anne-Marie was concerned about the way her 12-year-old students seemed unable to discuss things with each other, so she divided the class into groups, giving half of the groups the task of developing an argument for something, the other half against it. She did not then debate the issue group against group, as if she thought that by asking people to cooperate to developing a wholly one-sided position that they didn't necessarily agree with in order to use it to post the views to other people as a good idea. She said no, it wasn't a good idea. It was an obvious problem, but that she'd never seen it like that. Seen it like that, seen it like that, seen it like that. Larissa Petrova, a student from Russia, won a scholarship to go to an American university. She was very excited about going to the United States and did a lot of reading about American culture. Before her arrival to the United States, Larissa had read several books about America, its people, and its culture. Despite her preparation, however, several confusing and frustrating incidents occurred during her first week in the United States. Larissa stayed up all night writing at her bed before her psychology class. Next morning, during the Spanish class, the teacher unexpectedly announced that they were going to have pop quiz on the material they covered in the last two classes. Larissa was afraid that she was going to fail it as she needed any homework, nor reviewed her material from the previous class. Bill, Larissa's friends from tennis club, also a classmate in Spanish, seemed to be unconcerned about the quiz. During the quiz, Larissa was asking Bill for the answers for the questions she was not sure of. However, Bill seemed to be annoyed by her questions, did not want to share his answers. Larissa's feelings were hurt. To make the matter worse, the teacher, having seen what Larissa was doing, asked her to hand in her incomplete text and to leave the class. Have you ever cheated on a test? Have you ever cheated on a test? There is a student in my class who is always late. That is not the only problem. When I ask him a question, he goes on and on and on and makes the rest of the class wait and wait. He goes on and on and on and on, on and on and on and on, on and on and on and on and on and on, on and on, on and on, on and on. I want to tell him to get to the point, to get to the point, get to the point, get to the point. Finally, I have to cut him off because he loses track of the time he's talking up in the class with this issue. I tell him that if he wants to continue talking about it, he'll have to do it on his own coffee break. He doesn't understand our concept of time. We are on a strict schedule and things have to be done by a certain time as well. Things are scheduled to take a certain amount of time. I don't like it. I don't like it. I hate 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 it. Is Stephen Hawking right? Is Stephen Hawking right about aliens? Stephen Hawking thinks that making contact with aliens would be a very bad idea indeed. But with new massive telescopes, we humans are stepping up the search. Have we really thought this through? Have we really? Have we? Have we really thought this through? The hunt for the intelligent species outside Earth is something we often see in literature and film, but it is happening in real life too. Space probes are searching for planets outside our solar system, and astronomers can carefully listening for any messages coming to us through space. How incredible it would be to get confirmation that we are not alone in the universe and to finally speak to the alien race. Wouldn't it? Well, no. Well, no. According to the eminent physicist Stephen Hawking, if aliens visit us, the result will be the same as when Columbus landed in America, which didn't end well for the Native Americans. Hawking says he argues that instead of trying to find and communicate with life in the cosmos, humans should be doing everything they can to avoid contact. Hawking believes that because of the huge number of planets that scientists now must exist, we are now not the only life form in the universe. There are billions and 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 billions of stars just in our galaxy, and we should expect that an even bigger number of planets orbit these stars. And we can also expect that some of that alien life will be intelligent and capable of interested communication. So in sum, Hawkins' knowledge of the universe advises against contact. It's worth listening to, isn't it? Said Shostak, a senior astronomer at the SETI Institute in California, the world's leading organization searching for signs of alien existence, is not so sure. It is an unwarranted view. Shostak says, if their interest in our planet is for something valuable that our planet has to are not alone. We are not alone. I believe so. I believe so. I believe so. I believe so. But that's where my belief ends. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know anything like if any of what anyone claims is actually true. It's actually true. It's actually true. It's actually true. It's actually true. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry about the traffic. I'm so sorry about the traffic. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. If we were really worried about letting aliens know we were here, just exit. The first thing we to do would be to shut down the BBC, NBC, CBC, and the radars and all airports. Those broadcasts have been sending messages into space for years. The oldest is already more than 80 light years from Earth, so it is already too late to stop aliens watching our TV programs. There are lots of practical purposes involved in hunting for aliens, of course, mainly the distance of our nearest neighbors were life forms on the fictional moon of Endor. 1,000 light years away. It would take a millennium for us to receive any message they could send us. If the Endorians were watching us, the light reaching them from Earth at this very moment would show them our planet as it was 1,000 years ago. In Europe, that means lots of fighting between knights around castles, and in North America, small bands of natives living on the Great Plains. It is not a time scale that allows for a quick conversation, and anyway, they might not be communicating in our direction. The fact that we have not received any messages from aliens has not ever prevented astronomers and biologists, not to mention filmmakers, from producing a whole range of ideas about what aliens might be like. In the early days of SETI, astronomers were trying to find planets like ours, the idea being that since the only biology we know about is our own, aliens will be something like us, but there is no reason why that should be true. You don't even need to step off the Earth to find life that is very different from our experience of it. Extremophiles are species that can survive in places that were really like humans and other normal life forms. These single cold creatures have been found in boiling hot jets of water that come through the ocean floor, or at temperatures many degrees below the freezing point of water. The front ends of some creatures that live near deep sea jets are 200 degrees Celsius warmer than their back end. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, I am having deja vu or deja vu. Do you know what deja vu is? Deja vu is like deja vu, but you dreamed it, I had this dream that I was reading this to you, and then my brother came into my room, and that would make sense because he actually does not know that I'm filming. So let's see if it comes true. Then my brother comes into my room and interrupts this video. I hope it doesn't. But wouldn't that be crazy? Because I dreamt this. That happens to me a lot. I have deja vu and deja vu all the time. I always dream about things and then they happen in real life. But I forget about them until they happen, and then I have deja vu. On Earth, life exists in water and on land, but a huge gas planet, for example, it could exist high in the atmosphere, eating food from the air around it. And as aliens would be so different from us, guessing their motives and intentions if they ever got in touch seems to be something that even Hawkins cannot explain. Paul Davies, an astrophysicist at Arizona State University, argues that alien brains, with their different architecture, would interpret information very differently from ours. Lots of people think that because they would be so clever and knowledgeable, they would be peaceful. Adds Stewart, I don't think you can say that. I don't think you can put human views onto them. That's a dangerous way of thinking. Aliens are aliens. If they exist at all, we cannot simply believe they're the same as us. Then there's a text called I shouldn't be here. At the beginning of each school year, teachers would teach English in a selected course of the Faculty of Philosophy. Organized placement test for potential students. I took that test, and I got it, of course. Based on the results of the test, students are divided into 3 levels: pre-intermediate, intermediate, and upper intermediate. I am upper intermediate. Students who score lower have to take a different language. Top test scores. Those that score above the upper intermediate level can choose not to attend the classes regularly in exchange for other self-study requirements. Student X took the test and was placed at the upper intermediate level. During first class, the student showed up for class, but he was apathetic and did not participate voluntarily. Sometime after the beginning of the school year, student X approached the teacher and said that the class was too easy and he felt bored. All the time he wanted to be excused from classes like the other students who scored high on the placement test. I got bored sometimes on class too because I would know things. That happened to me a lot in school group in Italy. An Italian skier raced him downhill. The prize was to take a girl out for dinner. At the bottom of the mountain, the Italian took a corner sharply and crashed into Eddie, who was hurt badly. Later, Eddie married the girl, and now they have two children. Interviewer. In your skiing and jumping, you've introduced yourself a number of times, haven't you? Oh gosh, yes. What sort of things have you done to yourself? In Italy, we never raised the guy. He was the local champion, and he was ranked sixth in Italy for downhill at the time. And I just went out to work for a company called Schools Abroad, a travel company that deals specifically with schools, colleges, and all the youth groups of all ages. I think specifically with schools, colleges, and I work for them. And as a ski technician, they allowed me to work for about 2 hours a week, and I ski 8 hours a day, 7 days a week, you see. And after about a month, I was getting pretty good because I was good as a skier. I was a good skier anyway, but after spending about 2 months out of the snow, I was getting really hot, and so everybody started to hear about the Englishman who was getting on really well on the skis and getting. Oh, this is a long text. And getting really fast and things. And then this local guy came up to me. He was getting on for about 26. I think he was really very old, yeah, I mean ancient, but he was a super hot skier for the whole sort of country, and he came up to me and offered me a raise, you see, and we said that because he was having a bit of a, let's say, a flirt with the rep of Schools Abroad who was there with me, and she was a nice looking girl, a blonde and all sort of things, so I said, okay, but if I raise you and the winner can take the girl out, June her name was, so the winner would go from the top of the mountain to the bottom, and the winner would take her out to dinner, you see, and so we went up to the mountain one day, up to the top, we went straight away first thing in the morning, so that we knew there was nobody down the slope, because that was the most important. We didn't mind killing ourselves. Oh my god, we didn't mind killing ourselves, but we didn't want to kill anybody else, and so we got to the top, and the left guys were at the bottom watching all the skis school, and for a few days before, and they were saying, don't raise him, because he will hammer you, you know, you'll get hurt, all this sort of thing. You haven't got it, you can't stand a chance, all this sort of things. So we took off to get to the top of the mountain, and we were going down, and he was just in front of me by about 10 meters, but if I wasn't, if it wasn't a great deal, it wasn't a great deal, and I knew I could catch up in any time, so I just sort of struck behind him, and we were doing about 75 miles an hour, and we were coming towards the bottom, and at the bottom there was a left hand band going to the finish, but on this band there was a ridge, you see. Now if you took this band nice and long on the outside, it was only a slight ridge, but you wouldn't take off, but the sharper you turn, you took the band the biggest, the ridge of the further you would fly in the air, you see. And I was catching this guy up, we were about 2 meters, within 2 meters of each other, so I decided that I take the band a little bit sharper than him, so I took off, I was going forwards, the finish, but going in the air, I was going across the slope, and so you know, although I was in control, I wouldn't do anything until I landed, obviously, and we were doing about 70 miles an hour, and I landed right on top of him, and as soon as I hit him, my skis released. I didn't have a helmet on, and I hit him, skis released, and I went over, and I was rotating sideways, but still traveling about 70 miles an hour. I didn't know where I was, and then all of a sudden I had a great thump on the back of my head, and I hit the rocks, and went into the trees and all sorts of things, and they rushed me off the hospital with suspected broken neck, broken back, and I paralyzed my shoulder now, and then finished. Either so nobody won, so she didn't get to have dinner. No, in fact, now we're married, and we got together, Oh my god, have you ever heard of this story? The twits. The twits. The twits. The twits. H-E-T-W-I-T-S. The twits. The twits. Illustrations by Quentin Blake. Mr. Twit is a trollish person having hair that covers his whole face, his head, his forehead, eyes, and his nose. His hair, which he believes makes him look wise and green, is spiky and hard rather than smooth and soft. He is 60 years old. He never washes his beard. Contains scraps of food dropped there while he ate tin sardines, Stilton cheese, and cornflakes. Occasionally he picks those scraps out and eats them. Mr. Twit is a beer drinker. Even at breakfast he is known to go very quiet when he's plotting his latest evil trick, the victim of which is usually his wife. Oh my god, there is a task that said, now listen, the next part of the story, which glass of her ugly thoughts. Ugly thoughts. I cannot read my own handwriting. I have a very, very bad handwriting. Very bad handwriting. She has a glass eye. She has a glass eye. She hates cats and dogs. She hits kids with her stick. She hits kids with her stick. Okay. Let's read. Let's read one more. Let's read one more text and then call it a day. Call it a day. Call it a day. It says pagans and saints and Dingus Day. Oh my. Oh my. Oh my. This happened at the very beginning of my teaching career. I was a young, enthusiastic teacher who with much excitement prepared the lesson on different holidays as they are celebrated among the world and various customs related to them. The lesson began and we hit the first hurdle. Saint Valentine's Day was, and what will ever be Saint Driven's Day, Saint Driven's Day. After some discussion, our next hurdle came in the form of Halloween. Halloween. I love Halloween. We don't celebrate it here where I live. Halloween does not exist. However, many people celebrate it, including myself. I love Halloween. It's so close. In the form of Halloween, with this ties to unchristian pagan worship, the straw that broke the camel's back was the mention of Dingus Day. Dingus Day, a celebration held on Easter Monday in certain Catholic countries, when boys spray girls with water, which is supposed to evoke youth and strength. Have you ever heard of that holiday? Have you? Dingus Day. Spelled. I actually don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. D-Y-N-G-U-S Day. Dingus Day. Dingus. I don't know. Most of the students had no objections to learning about different cultures and discussing their customs, save for 2 students who were very vocal in their disapproval. Slowly, the focus of the lesson went from teaching all students new cultural content to me trying to convince the 2 students that they can benefit from learning about 2 different cultures. What is your favorite holiday? Okay, the traffic is getting super crazy. Oh my god. I'm gonna call it a day here. I hope you enjoyed this video. I really hope you enjoyed this video. And like, subscribe, and comment. And I will see you guys in my